We live in a post-truth age. What does that mean? It means that we can no longer rely on the information sources to lead us to evidence-based, factual, empirical information, right? So there are infinite numbers of ways that we can access information, and we do. But in a post-truth age, the reliability of that information is no longer easily verifiable. Once upon a time, we could go to Encyclopedia Britannica if we were doing a school assignment. I am a Gen X, so that might give my age away. And we know that the information had to be vetted, checked, and made accurate before it was put into that encyclopedia. And then we moved into, the age of Google and the internet, and we would use search engines. And now we're in the age of AI, where we don't even have to go to the effort of choosing a link to follow to verify information. And why this is so important and interesting to me in the age of post-truth is that we are not even doing our own Google search to verify information and the sources from which it comes from. And I saw someone share yesterday the experience of AI hallucination. So she was researching something about habit change, and ChatGPT threw a statistic at her, like 80% of people who engage in this habit changing practice in 3 weeks will have, permanent change. And that sounds really cool and interesting, except when she said, okay, Chat, tell me your source, it said, there is no source. And so she inquired further, and basically the upshot of all of that was that AI had hallucinated that figure, which it had given her about a habit-changing study. It had invented information, and if she hadn't been curious enough to go further and say, show me the citation for that reference, she would never have known, and she would have taken that information at face value, which is what most of us do. We go, hey, chat, tell me blah, 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 and we take whatever we're told from AI without then going back to do our own research to figure out if this is true. So if AI hallucinates information and there is no way for us to easily verify it unless we are taking the time, which kind of is counterintuitive to why we use ChatGPT, because we want a quick answer. And we're not even doing the data gathering ourselves by the most basic researching of going through the links that Google offers when we search a particular subject. It suggests to me that we are undoubtedly in an age of extreme danger when it comes to any sort of belief that we can trust the information that we receive at face value. Now, all of this is interesting to me in the context of intuition. Of course, that is my brand. That is what I am an expert on. And one of the scariest things I've seen about the use of AI, and I see so many people with lots of followers and lots of influence doing this, is going to AI for psychic readings or intuitive guidance or predictions or fortune telling. And there is no doubt in my mind that this is one of the most dangerous ways that AI can be used, because AI, A, is not sentient, and B, it is not connected to the quantum field, which is how intuition or intuitive intelligence functions. It is our inherent interconnectedness to that quantum field. So we are outsourcing not only our access to knowledge and therefore, not having any sense of reliability on that knowledge, but we're outsourcing our own intuitive knowing. We're not even paying an expert who may have spent time training, which I still don't believe we need to do. We are giving pattern recognition software the opportunity to give us what we might consider the deepest insight into the highest versions of our lives. And it is terrifying. It's terrifying not because people are going to do it. People have done dumb things on the internet since the internet came into the world. But because what this does, layered on top of being in a post-truth age, is it completely disenfranchises us from our own sense of self-reliance. Intuition, when it is used in its highest and purest form, is for us. It is not for us to predict the future of anyone else, but for us to be able to follow the highest and most Dharma related path for our lives, Dharma being the highest intention and purpose for our life. So intuition is the language of that quantum field that is communicating directly with us, guiding us. That inspiration is our intuition. It is the language of the quantum field. And if we are outsourcing that, or even imagining that we don't have it, then we are deadening that ability for the quantum field, or the God mind, as I call it, to communicate with us. So every time we use something like ChatGPT as a spiritual, intuitive, friend or guide, we are numbing our own capacity. We are, in the same way that we are numbing our own capacity for critical thinking when we use ChatGPT to give us information without verifying its sources, knowing that ChatGPT not only hallucinates information, but is also fulfilling whatever the policy of the government of that country is, right? So there's information that you can not access if it goes against the policy of that organizing country's government. So we are layering layers of illusion upon layers of illusion in the false idea that somehow we're getting closer to truth, or somehow we've got this capacity to use ChatGPT as though it is infallible, and it is not. What is infallible is your own intuitive connection to that inherent interconnectedness, to that quantum mind. That is infallible, but we can numb it, we can deaden it, we can abuse it by neglecting it, by not taking the time to train it, and certainly by continually outsourcing. Now, this was always a problem for me, the way that we outsource our intuition to psychics, to healers, to intuitives, to tarot readers. But now we have this even more dangerous element where we are outsourcing to a pattern recognition software that has an agenda and is not necessarily even spitting out information that has to be empirically evidenced. Now, of course, in an intuitive sense, you might say, well, how would you empirically evidence that? But leaving that aside, it doesn't even have to be factual in terms of the information that is out there on the internet, because we also know there's a lot of information out there on the internet that is not accurate. So what does all of this mean for me as the leader of an institute that helps people develop their own innate intuitive intelligence? It makes me double down on my fierce commitment to reminding us all, and then providing the pathway for us to embody that truth, that we are the only ones with direct access to the intuitive wisdom for ourselves. There is no one, no machine, no program, no person who has clearer and more direct access to the highest intuitive wisdom for our lives than we do, right? Just as, here's an analogy, like the mother's breast milk is individually formulated to meet the needs of her own baby. And sure, other babies who may need donor breast milk may get some benefit because there's basic nutritional benefit within it. But the exact formula between mother and baby has been created by the body. And when we think about it in this way for intuition, our communication with that quantum field, with that inherent interconnectedness, the God mind, is specifically formulated for us. Not only the information that we receive, but the way that we experience it. So there is a unique code, if you like, between you and the mind of God, or infinite consciousness, whatever you'd like to call it. And when we outsource this, when we give it to someone else or to a program to do, instead of training ourselves to create the conditions in our body, our nervous system, and our overall emotional well-being to be able to receive that wisdom, we are supercharged by it, not just by the information, but the energy encoded within it. So we have this unique formula that is being fed to us from the universal mind, and we are rejecting it for Coca-Cola, or, some other fizzy drink, right? So that analogy is why this work of developing our intuitive intelligence for ourselves to lead us to our highest, most successful, most optimized lives is essential to everything that I do. We must build that self-reliance And more importantly than that, the self-esteem to believe that we are worthy of being in direct communication with the mind of God, Goddess consciousness. That is the missing link. It is not our capacity. We all have the capacity. It is not a gift. It is not inherently special. It is innate within each of us. It is our belief that we are worthy to receive that direct, energetically encoded information from the God mind, so that we are receiving exactly what we need. There's so much I want to say. I'm going to briefly touch on one more thing, because one of the things I've always been agitated by is these spiritual hacks, right? Like, so just repeat this mantra and all 12 strands of your DNA will be activated, or say this into the mirror 3 times and then turn backwards counterclockwise and, under a full moon naked, and you will suddenly have access to light language, or some other kind of hack. What bothers me so much about this is the quick fix magic bullet idea. And it's a little bit in the same vein of why the ChatGPT or any AI software as your spiritual intuitive guide bothers me so much. There is no quick fix, right? For us to activate, if you like, our full optimization, whether that be 12 strands or 2,000 strands of DNA that are currently dormant, it is not about chanting specific words that someone else is going to give you. An example I saw of that was on TikTok recently, where someone said they went to ChatGPT and asked them, how do I activate the 12 DNA strands? And ChatGPT gave it the answer, which they then shared with everyone else on TikTok. I mean, layers of illusion in layers of illusion in layers of illusion. It cannot get any more grotesque in my mind. But it doesn't matter if someone says these are the exact words you need to say in order to activate the 25th dimension in your consciousness, or open to DNA strands that are currently dormant, or whatever else we're seeking. If you are not an energetic match for what it is that you are calling in, it's all noise. It's the emperor's clothes, right? We are pretending to ourselves that we can skip the line, that we get to avoid doing the work. Let us be unafraid to sweat for God, to sweat our prayers, to take the time to be worthy of that energetic increase, whatever that is for us, to change our vibrational frequency so that we may receive more of our divine nature into our human experience. That is not something we can skip the line and run to the front and just pay someone to give us the secret magic code that they've downloaded from AI. For God's sake, let us wake up. The world is asking us to become more and more trapped in an illusion. We are already in a virtual reality. That is what this human Earth School experience is. Our souls are here as avatars in these bodies to learn more about our divine nature. And so when we start replicating the idea of virtual reality and go further and further into giving our power away into that illusion, we have lost. So I'm here to fiercely advocate for us to reclaim our inner spiritual authority, our self-reliance and our spiritual self-esteem, so that we are open to the true blessing, which is that direct communication, that intuitive intelligence directly from the quantum field into our consciousness. That is where your unique codes are. You cannot go to ChatGPT or TikTok and get someone else to download that for you. It is not possible, because nothing that you learn from people in that way can work unless you have done the work to prepare your vessel to be an energetic match for whatever upgrade is coming. Okay, I have ranted. I have enjoyed ranting. I am so fierce about this. Spiritual fierceness is the revolution. It is my movement of awakening consciousness, because we are becoming spiritually floppy. We are looking for quick fixes, just like we're looking for a way to get to the front of the line for a Birkin bag, right? We're looking to add more layers of abusive, illusory entertainment, distraction, spiritual retail therapy to what is our true path home to our God truth, our God nature. And I will not stand for it. And that's what I came to share. And I'm going to be sharing more on that. Have the most freaking beautiful day. And remember that you have everything you need, my darling. You are the oracle.